So far I've been doing a lot of stuff where we've just kind of been doing abstract shapes and testing out the tools and stuff. And now I want to show you how to apply some of these tools to something that you'll probably be doing in this program quite a bit, which is drawing in there. So what I'm going to do, I searched through my sketchbook for a cool image, and I was doing some drawings of my dog over the summer. I don't know, it's in there somewhere. And so I took that and I put it on a new piece of paper and I scanned it in and I sent it to myself. And at any time I can do this for you guys. Take a picture that you've drawn yourself, scan it in, and then we can pull it into this program. You can just drag and drop it in, simply as that. Or if you go File, Place, and then find wherever you have that image on your desktop, and then move that in. So right now it's off to the side, so I'll just get it going like that. Okay, so now I have a drawing. Zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to, let's see, that is on layer 1 or 2 there. I'm going to hit a new layer. Let me delete this one just so you can see it. So here we are. Turn it off on. There it is. I'm going to create a new layer, and that's where I'm going to do my actual drawing on. And now here is where I can play around with. Now if I go on here with my pen tool, I can get a very kind of geometric take on it. Or if I click and drag, remember, that's when I can have my arced lines right away from the get-go. If at first, love your Control Z. You're going to fall in love with the Control Z because all of a sudden you're going to get a wonky angle like that. Control Z, redo, until you kind of get the right angle for whatever you're currently doing. And that's still not exactly how I want it. Might need to play around with that a little bit more. So you'll get used to this pen tool the more that you use it. So at first, don't be expecting magical things because it does take a little bit of patience. So, okay, let me put a stroke on there. So now you can see the line that I've traced over that image. Okay, so that's with the pen tool. I'm going to make that not be seen. I'm going to start a new layer. Now, I can do this with the brush tool. Sorry, let me start it off with the pencil tool first. Now the pencil tool, the way that this works is also a little funky. It's going to really simplify. Oops, that was a bad line. Simplify, also a bad line. And sometimes it wants to kind of pick up. See how I had that line stopping there, and then I continued that line, and it picked up on the previous line that I drew, and just added it to it, kind of. But there, now it's making new ones. So this tool does kind of start to simplify things and have a mind of its own. I mean, sorry, those are kind of cool lines. So it all just kind of depends on what kind of style you want. But now it erased that last line. This is a tool, I will be completely honest, I don't use a whole lot of because I don't like how it works. There, but I start from down further and it's better.
Can you like put any image that you find, like in one you draw or one on the internet?
One you find on the internet, yep. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so you can absolutely. So there's kind of that. Now let me untoggle that one. Let's start a new one. Now the paintbrush, I can come up here and I can play around with some brush strokes right from the get-go. Let me actually just do a basic one and then I'll show you how magical it can be. It wants to stay on that. That's okay. So now I can really start to be very sketchy, like how I would be if I was drawing on real paper in my sketchbook right now. Maybe try to get some of his wispy hairs in there. Now if we had tablet drawers, then this would be really cool. Your hands do get tired when you're drawing with a mouse. So listen to your body, take a break if you need to. So now I'm starting to get some nice sketchy lines. forming his face there. So, come on. There we go. Now let's untoggle that. That's the beginning of a pretty cool drawing, right? And now I can also take all these and I can try it out with different brush strokes. So now let's go back into artistic. I could do this with like an ink drawn look. That one probably wouldn't necessarily be. And notice how some of these also work with the transparency. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
All of the ones in watercolor are transparent.
In watercolor, thank you. So artistic watercolor. So where they overlap, you'll see how it gets a little bit darker because it works with the transparency of that. So, but yeah, now I could go, calligraphic is also an interesting one when you think of like different tips that a pen could have. Oops, I gotta highlight it first. So, you know, these are all things that you might want to just kind of test out and play around with. I really think for this drawing in particular, my best bet is going to be probably one of these pencil ones. And then I can, you know, I can bring my point size down too. So there's lots of ways to customize this. And now, right now, I just have my uniform width. What happens when I change the width of these? Notice how it's slight, let me up that in a little bit. How I get different effects on this based on the width. Because, I mean, when we draw, it's not like we have a solid line from start to finish. It kind of trails off, right? Or it starts trail, you know, and it trails in and then trails off again. And so that's why we have these options like these widths here to play around with some of those things. So those are some of those tools in action. That's all.